Okay, this is why I clicked into this, because I want to get to this part. CIG on the flight model changes. I've not heard CIG chime in yet on that, but let's watch this informational piece done here by BoredGamer.
Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen news. We've got Star Citizen Alpha 3.24.2 updates for you. Some rumors that have been going on about the Polaris Corvette ahead of its release. Some changes to its weapons, stuff like that. Why have CIG reduced boost speeds and tweaked the flight model the way they have in 3.24.2? Yogi Clap responds to that. And we've got some of the latest spooky subflare items being shown off now because they've just been released as well. Alpha 3.24.2. There's been a new patch on the Evocati for that very recently. There's some changes here, some additions. Salvage and mining will now function while in nav mode. Vehicle weapons tuning has been done. With this, they've reduced damage of all cannon ammo by 10%. They've made some multi-tool UI updates to help make it more legible and usable. So the new non-aim down sights system has been added. So they've got indicators to distinguish between traversal, which is left mouse button, 4 arrows as a little icon now, and detachment mode, which is a chain link icon. Loads of bug fixes in that patch. It's looking like it's going to be wider PTU potentially next week would be my expectation. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, lots of rumors and leaks and data mines and stuff coming out of this patch. Now, I've talked about some of those previously. Always take sort of data mines, leaks, rumors, that sort of stuff with big grains of salt. But I want to talk about the Polaris here. So this has mostly been from a data mine, but a lot of it's rumored, and CIG have been talking about this as well. So it's in line with what CIG is saying. So we're expecting the Polaris before the end of the year, potentially with the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo build. That's the target, it looks like. But yeah, it looks like the Polaris has got some much larger weaponry now. So according to this data mine, it's got a couple of ballistic nose weapons that are size 6, which is quite shooty, pew pew pew. And 2 of its top turrets have become quad size 4 weapons. So that's a huge amount of anti-fighter weaponry there. It looks like it might have an automated anti-missile and torp defense system. So looks like it's got 7 laser repeaters across the ship, which will track and shoot down ordnance that are fired at it. We don't have...
Dudes, man. RSI, I like RSI as a manufacturer, even though the front or the cockpit of every ship is basically essentially a Connie. Like in different sizes, you know, it's always a Connie up front, and in the back they try and make it look like something different. But I love the design. I've always loved the Connie, and I'll take as many variations of it in different sizes as I can.
Have a huge amount of info on exactly how all these PDS systems will work, but the idea is I believe they're sort of tied into the blade system. They're semi-autonomous. You go, I want this system to automatically intercept missiles that are fired at me, and they will try and do that. They're not going to be perfect. They're going to be able to be jammed and EMP'd and damaged and parts of them shot off. Hopefully, CIG will talk more about that sort of stuff at CitizenCon, or at least soon. And obviously, as I said, it is just a leak/rumor at the moment. It does.
Also, if you guys want up-to-date leaks, we have a bot that pulls directly from a leaks section, and you guys can check it out here. And you can follow along with all the things that are all the leaks that are being found. And like Board said, like you can get all the data mined here too. But like Board said, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Not all of them, you know, not all of them come to fruition. There's a lot of speculation with some of the leaks. But I always thought this was cool in our Discord that we could just like follow along with all the leaks here. If you aren't in our Discord, check it out. Also, there's a news section, which is really nice, keeps you up to date. So we have bots pulling from multiple different sources. You've got patch news here, so you can see all the patches and the fixes that, you know, here's all the fixes. And I think personally, very well put together on our Discord. So I'm going to applaud those involved with the behind the scenes work here on the channel. Thank you. I don't do that nearly enough. But definitely the DG360 crew always working.
It does also appear the ship may have a tier 2 medical bed, which makes sense and is in line with its role. And that role is, it's supposed to be a powerful combat ship, but it's also supposed to be a flagship for an org. It's supposed to be this very powerful torpedo corvette, but now it's been given a load of powerful weaponry, so it doesn't just need to rely on its torpedoes. And that's what CIG said they wanted to do, not to rely on its torpedoes and that ordnance every time in a fight. It's supposed to be a powerful ship in its own right as well. It's got a little bay for your ships. It's going to have everything you need to run a reasonable group of friends or an org from. It's going to be a great mission runner. I really like the ship. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be the most popular capital ship in game. I'm also suspecting that a lot of larger ships are going to be getting buffs and lots of rebalance to make them just kind of a lot more powerful, because there's like sub-targeting and engineering gameplay coming in. That's going to really change up the multi-crew experience. It's going to make ships like that you're going to be able to go after certain components and damage them via attrition. So they're going to want them to be big, powerful threats, and they've obviously got the armor as a component as well now, which will mitigate loads of damage from like smaller weapons. There's a lot of changes coming, is what I'm saying. And with that in mind, YogiClat answered some questions or talked a load about some of those changes that are coming. A question was asked, why is the boost speed being reduced so much in the Evocati 3.24.2 build? So ships effectively getting even slower because you can't use boost speeds to go as fast as you were able to previously. And lots of people are still disappointed with and critical of master modes, and why not? Like, you need to have your say with these sort of mechanics as they come into the game. Just be concise and try and give criticism in a way that, you know, furthers your point, but is...
Bored is really tiptoeing around this because he does not want to lose subscribers, right? It's so funny, though. Bored is obviously tiptoeing around this because he's like, I have to hold on to as many subscribers as I can.
Reasonable to how things could be fixed, or keep in mind that they may address your problem, but they're unlikely just going to revert it back to the previous model.
And I've said this numerous times. Nobody's a stranger to this information if you've been here a while. But I have seen the flight experience changes for the newer people that are worried about everything master modes is, and these changes that we're seeing. We have seen so many changes to the flight experience since the beginning of this project. So, you know, if you don't like the current flight experience, I would say don't even fucking worry about it, because it's going to change again, and it's going to change again. Most likely it'll change at least 2 or 3 more times. You know, and I feel like that's a lowball estimate, you know, for real.
Entirely. So master modes are here to stay is what I'm saying, and there is a world where everyone can have their say, and we get a great flight model and combat model from it.
Unfortunately, everyone can't have their say in this, and that is the very polarizing issue of the flight experience, because you have a very large PvPer base, and as this game should have. I enjoy that. I love that. I love that there's a very large PvP gamer base here to Star Citizen that are very vocal. I want them to be vocal. I want them to say what they like and what they don't like. And it should be solved through much yelling and conflict, as PvPers are accustomed to. I mean, the answer will be found with much argumentation. And I encourage that, because it's the only way it's going to get the flight model that is the best model, is people are just got to PvP the shit out of this.
And if you think, although that's not going to be possible, well, I mean, why are you bothering giving feedback in the first place? Let's assume that they can make a great model if they have the correct feedback, and you help it along by trying that out and saying, I like this, I don't like this, it needs more of this, not just, oh. I
mean, the correct feedback is your opinion. That's the reason why there will be PvP, because there's a lot of different viewpoints on this. And it'll be done through verbal PvP, and people get scared of that. The people are like, oh no. But like, really, this is how this is going to get us to the perfect flight model, essentially. But I always think physics has a very large role in this as well. I've still never really enjoyed the atmospheric flight. And there needs to be a lot of work. I've never really 100% ever, even close to 100%, liked the flight model ever on all the changes. I'm not there yet. They have a lot of work to do for me to be like, wow, this is a great flight experience. There's so much work to be done. So the arguing that's happening right now is important. The PvP dialogue is important for people that are really into a kind of like a space sim experience where they want some realism thrown in with the touch of arcade. And that's the thing. It's such a balancing act to get this right. It really is.
Last one was better. Go back to last one. I suppose that goes both ways as well, right? Like, if you like master modes and the direction, say why, and be concise about that as well. I'll be wading more into this conversation when 4.0 is released. Well, maybe a little bit afterwards. So yeah, Yogi was asked basically why is the speed being reduced so much for boost mode in 3.24.2, and he said in general 2x speed due to boost was a bit much, so we're trying out smaller modifiers. He wasn't actually aware that it was in already when he was questioned about this, because they obviously changed some bits and bobs in those Evocati patches. There will be a few tuning adjustments, but nothing groundbreaking for 3.24.2 or for 4.0. We'll start working on new flight model topics right after 4.0. Stuff that is already working in my internal builds though: control surfaces with smoother transitions, jerk, less magic accelerations for edge cases, new tricording limiters so lateral axes are dominant during maneuvering. You get around 1g more on the laterals without exceeding the acceleration limits. Our options for unstable flying, meaning velocity vectors are less stable while you're within speed limits, but that's prepping stuff. In general, we want to try out a different tuning scheme with less drastic accelerations, so it takes more time to reach max speeds. And there are also a couple of things Chris Roberts wants changed, but all that stuff is post CitizenCon, post 4.0 effort. Well, aside from changed tunings due to the changed loadouts, of course. We then went on to say, we're not increasing the base speeds at the moment. Actually, the weapon speeds will likely come down a bit with the 4.0 patch. 3.24.2 is a bit in between, but then again, the plan is to not leave 3.24.2 on for too long, implying they will be moving on to 4.0 assumedly, rather than a 3.24.3 pretty quickly after that patch's release. So yeah, as I said, love them or hate them, master modes are here to stay, but let's all try to evolve them for the better. I want Star Citizen the best game it can be. I do see what they're trying to do with master modes, having the sort of dogfighting in closer, having larger ships more powerful, slowing down that combat somewhat, and making sure there's no exploits, so that yes, you can have a reasonable skill ceiling, but you can't just go, I can't be hit and I can take everyone out through tricording. But I do want a pretty dogfighting experience that makes me feel like a badass. I want that Titanfall 2 experience while I'm
I want a little bit more reality than arcade, but you know what this is the thing. What Bored is asking for is pretty much the master modes, or is slowing down so he can feel like a badass when he PvPs. And I get that for people that aren't really PvP oriented. I get that. But for people that are PvP oriented, they will literally be like, fuck that. I mean, like, I could hear PvPers around the world say, fuck that, BoredGamer. Like, you know, like, you have to know what you're doing to become a great PvPer, that there has to be a harder curve to learning how to fly correctly, especially in combat. So, you know, I would push back a little bit to what BoredGamer is saying on what we currently have this iteration. There definitely needs to be a lot more work being done here with the flight experience. And like I said, there will be.
Flying around in my ship, which is to say, even if I'm not an amazing pilot, I still feel like I'm a good pilot, and I don't just get like one shot super easily by another dogfighter, or can't even hit another dogfighter at all. But yeah, I'm looking forward to bigger, more focused, balanced stuff for after 4.0's release.
Right,
it looks like that might be a priority after 4.0's release, so we'll have to wait and see. We do also know that tech...
I like what Retro said too, because Retro says, I feel like it should more be about how fun it is to fight and even lose fights more than making it easy so everyone can win, because that's just not realistic. Yeah, Retro, good comment, man. You know, it's a balance. This whole thing is a balancing act.
Preview and builds are going to be going on later this week for basically testing server meshing. Spooky season is here as well, both spooky in and out of the verse. So embrace the terror with this month's stomach-churning flair. So, yeah, we've got some interesting, more spooky, Day of Vara-orientated subscriber flair this time around. The ship of the month is the Drake Cutter, and if you're an Imperator, you'll also get the Scout version of that to try. There's some cool little rewards for subs this time around. So they've got some cool posters. If you're just a Centurion Standard sub, you've got the Killer Creature double feature, you've got Parasite and Blood Bank in-law horror movies that are just shown off here. I really like these sort of posters and silly things like that. If you are an Imperator, you get those, and you get a Castak Arms.
They should put the next edition for this year should be the Picoing. I think the Picoing would be absolutely the most horrible of all three.
The Brimstone Custodian SMG with blood red paint here, and in the sub store there is a Hill Horror Reborn movie poster, which I kind of like. Again, I want those posters in my house. I'll see if there's a way of getting them physically. It'd be cool if they sell them as merch. But there's also a Castak Arms Brimstone Devastator shotgun in that blood red color. As with most stuff in Star Citizen, this stuff will be added to the loot pool
I will say 2 months ago when I got to fly the salvage ship from Drake. How dare me forget the name of the fucking ship, having a brain fart. Vulture. That was good. That was good. I had a good time because I had never salvaged before, so that I did enjoy that. Yeah. That was good fun because I didn't know anything about salvaging, and that ship really taught me about it.
3 months time, so you don't actually have to buy them with real money or be a sub to get them. However, CIG did say that some things aren't going to be added to the loot pool. So most stuff does get added to the loot pool, even sub items after a 3-month exclusivity window-ish, but some exclusive digital event items, such as CitizenCon goodies, they won't be added. They're exclusive, so bear that in mind. Also, Day of the Virus celebrations start on Thursday and continue through the rest of the month. There's a load of stuff going on there. There's a Arena Commander mode to get involved with. There's, I believe, masks to find. We'll have to wait and see exactly what the plans are, but there's some spooky Halloween carving competitions, stuff like that.
Don't forget about the Starfare
That's it for your Star Citizen news today. Are you excited for Day of Vara? Are you going to get involved with anything that you've got going on there? Do you want to try and find some of those exclusive Halloween masks? Are you playing in the 3.24.2 Evocati build and hoping that it comes to live ASAP or wider PTU ASAP? We do know that 3.24.2 is built on 4.0's code base, which is interesting. I think it's the first time that I'm aware of that they've taken effectively a later patch and stripped it down to give it to us earlier. Obviously, this just sort of makes sense for them trying to provide a build that takes as much of the stress and pressure off 4.0's release as possible, getting stuff like this tested ASAP. Do you have a Polaris? Are you looking to buy a Polaris? Are you going to get a Polaris in game? Do you like the rumored changes to it? And what do you think of Yogi's response to the flight model changes and slowing down of boost speeds and stuff like that? Do you think that CIG are going to be able to make a great system for that, evolving what they have? Obviously, we've got big changes with engineering and 4.0 stuff and loads of new mechanics, which will change stuff up and armor and all that sort of jazz. But whatever your thoughts, I would love to hear from you in the comments below.
I think there's a lot of people
also, you should listen to this
Polaris
guy about getting NordVPN. Click the links below. Click the join buttons. Click the...
All right. I'm going to like that. Interesting. Way to go, BoredGamer. Just giving you the facts, man.